without the light or the darkness come. Hold through the night, the shadows will run. Fend off the enemy, sing out the jubilee with all the fire we can breathe. We're singing all day and you can't tame it. High tide, low tide, you know, night time or morning time, yeah. We're going strong, headed up, down the river. Oh Lord, I feel the reveling. I feel a change on the rise.
Some people are really fucking stupid. Did you ever notice that? How many really stupid people you run into during the day? God damn, there's a lot of stupid bastards walking around. Carry a little pad and pencil with you. You wind up with 30 or 40 names by the end of the day. Look at it this way. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that. And it doesn't take you very long to spot one of them, does it? Take you about 8 seconds. You'll be listening to some guy. You say, this guy is fucking stupid.
You can say what you want about this country, and I love this place. I love the freedoms we used to have. I love it. I love that. You know? I love it when it didn't take a fucking catastrophe to get us to care for one another. I love the fact that we're on camera all the time from all angles. But you know what? You can say what you want about America. And I say I love this place. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't live in any other time in history in any other place. But say what you want about America. Land of the free, home of the brave. We got some dumb-ass motherfuckers floating around this country. Dumb-ass motherfuckers, you know?
Peace and love, family. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. And see, right now, if you hadn't figured this out, this is Trusty Training. I'm doing the Notary series. And I want to make sure that everybody understands the prerequisites or the requisites. Civil law notaries are a major part of the administrative process. We've been doing notary and trustee training for a while now. And in order for you to be an effective proponent in bringing clients to current expected credit loss provisions implementation, you're going to have to know how all this stuff kind of all plays in. So what I'm going to attempt to do is share with you some information that hopefully will help you in that educational proponent. So bear with me as we go to this part of the lesson where I can show you better than I can tell you. First off, I think it's without further ado that I should give you the actual prerequisites of where we are. You know, a lot of people want to know about why we're experiencing a currency or a coin shortage and things of that sort. Well, let me remind you about a piece of legislation that has been on the table for a while that definitely is affecting current expected credit loss provisions being implemented with financial institutions. What is that legislation? HR 5404. Keep listening, because if you listen long enough, you just might learn something.
There is one version of the bill. Text available as XML, HTML, XML HTML, new window. TXT. PDF. PDF provides a complete and accurate display of this text. Formatting necessary for an accurate reading of this legislative text, for example, italics, strike-throughs, or bolded brackets indicating which text is to be added or omitted, may be missing from the TXT display. For a complete and accurate display, see the PDF. Shown here, introduced in-house, March 22, 2018. 115th Congress 2D Session. H.R. 5404. To define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold. In the House of Representatives. March 22, 2018. Mr. Mooney of West Virginia introduced the following bill, which was referred to the Committee on Financial Services. A bill to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1. Findings. Congress finds the following. 1. The United States dollar has lost 30% of its purchasing power since 2000, and 96% of its purchasing power since the end of the gold standard in 1913. 2. Under the Federal Reserve's 2% inflation objective, the dollar loses half of its purchasing power every generation, or 35 years. 3. American families need long-term price stability to meet their household spending needs, save money, and plan for retirement. 4. The Federal Reserve policy of long-term inflation has made American manufacturing uncompetitive, raising the cost of United States manufactured goods by more than 40% since 2000, compared to less than 20% in Germany and France. 5. Between 2000 and 2010, United States manufacturing employment shrunk by one-third after holding steady for 30 years at nearly 20 million jobs. 6. The American economy needs a stable dollar, fixed exchange rates, and money supply controlled by the market, not the government. 7. The gold standard puts control of the money supply with the market instead of the Federal Reserve. 8. The gold standard means legal tender defined by and convertible into a certain quantity of gold. 9. Under the gold standard through 1913, the United States economy grew at an annual average of 4%, one-third larger than the growth rate since then and twice the level since 2000. 10. The International Gold Exchange Standard from 1914 to 1971 did not provide for a United States dollar convertible into gold, and therefore helped cause the Great Depression and stagflation. 11. The Federal Reserve's trickle-down policy of expanding the money supply with no demand for it has enriched the owners of financial assets but endangered the jobs, wages, and savings of blue-collar workers. 12. Restoring American middle-class prosperity requires change in monetary policy authorized to Congress in Article I, Section 8, Clause 5 of the Constitution. Section 2. Define the dollar in terms of gold. Effective 30 months after the date of enactment of this Act. 1. The Secretary of the Treasury, in this Act referred to as the Secretary, shall define the dollar in terms of a fixed weight of gold, based on that day's closing market price of gold. And 2. Federal Reserve banks shall make Federal Reserve notes exchangeable with gold at the statutory gold definition of the dollar. Section 3. Disclosure of holding. During the 30-month period following the date of enactment of this Act, the United States government shall take timely and reasonable steps to disclose all of its holdings of gold, together with a contemporaneous report of any United States governmental purchases or sales, thus enhancing the ability of the market and of market participants to arrive at the fixed dollar gold parity in an orderly fashion.
I'm Lynette Zhang, Chief Market Analyst here at ITM Trading, a full-service physical gold and silver dealer specializing in custom strategies to help you survive and thrive. The economic reset that should be pretty clear to everybody we are walking through right now. And we had so many questions that this is another Q&A this week. And I'm going to start with Lorena Bishop. I would like to know who funds FHA loans in a mortgage. Is Federal Housing Authority a federal agency? The answer is yes. It is a quasi-governmental agency, and what they do is they issue bonds, they issue debt, and that's what actually funds and provides for the mortgages. You might recall, okay, well, I'll finish reading the question. Government sponsors Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans. How do they differ from FHA and who funds them? Well, all of those entities are actually quasi-governmental, except for Ginnie Mae, who actually is backed by the full faith and credit of the government. So that's how they all differ. I mean, each one kind of works in a little different way, but it is investors that actually fund them. It's the government that backstops them. And you might recall, because I've done a bunch on it as we've been watching the central banks trying to bring out that new benchmark, that they actually issue debt in terms of the new benchmark, and then investors, pension plans, independent investors can buy those pieces. And that's actually what funds these mortgages. So because they're government backed, that's why they were able to say, okay, you do not have to pay these mortgages. They could give you a year's mortgage forbearance on it. Now, of course, it all runs downhill. But yeah, these are government or quasi-governmental agencies. And Greg Tangi asks, supposedly a country's ability to create their own currency is advantageous for them. I am wondering how non-printers, as compared to those countries who can print, are doing today, and how will the non-printers be sitting when this whole reset is complete? Greg, let me expand that a little bit further. A country's ability to create their own currency is advantageous for them. Most countries do indeed create their own currency. The piece that needs to be put in there is the US dollar is classified as the world reserve currency. So what makes that advantageous is that if you are living in another country but going outside of your border to buy oil, lumber, medicine, anything, you had to do so with US dollars, and that created an automatic market for dollars. So that's the piece of it. Now, the euro has become a reserve currency. The Chinese yuan has become a reserve currency. The Chinese yen is a reserve currency, which is why in many cases these are considered flight to safety assets, but those are all debt instruments. So the advantage is that up until really relatively recently, we were the only country that could actually create from debt the money that we needed to repay our global debts. That's huge. Every other country would have to buy dollars from us in order to repay their global debts, because they're doing it in terms of dollars. So I hope that helps. Let's see. I'm wondering how non-printers, okay, so I think I've answered that. And how will everybody sitting when the whole reset is completed? Well, all value and all fiat money, government-based money, will have lost all of its value. And right now they all have lost, roughly the same that the US dollar has lost over time, which is close to 98%. And that's officially. It's probably actually more than that. And Jose Figueroa asks, could there be a possibility of a new $1,000 bill to replace the $100 bill when they reset it? Well, before they reset it, it is highly probable to have $1,000 bills, $10,000 bills, $10 trillion bills as the currency loses all value in hyperinflation. Just look at Zimbabwe, which I'm going to be talking about this week, or I just talked about last week, actually. I'm sorry, we're recording this so I could get to all the questions. And you'll see that you could have been a billionaire in Zimbabwe and barely bought a loaf of bread. So Honeydew asks, since the Fed does not actually loan anything tangible, and it is a lie, why do we, oh, great question. Why do we as a society agree to pay it back when there is nothing to pay? Great question. Because one thing that they absolutely knew is that people marry the legal money of the state. So when a big enough lie is told over and over again through generations, the truth will seem outrageous and the speaker a raving lunatic. We have been living a lie that was sold gradually to the masses. And as long as they kept it at least looking the way that they were used to, and I mean the public, that's who they are. So me, I mean, in 1971, I had a $20 bill in July, and I had a $20 bill in September. I did not know that the entire financial system had reset from a gold-backed system to a debt-backed system. I didn't know. But I'd, been used to the fiat money. So if you think about this for yourself, but you think about it for others, they did the same thing. If you took a look at what the gold certificates looked like prior to 1913, the new Federal Reserve notes, the new bills that came out, looked very similar to the old ones. And they keep the term the dollar. That's why I think we're going to have a dollar coin, because that's what people are used to, and they marry the legal money of the state because they hope, and I'll give you this whole big quote. I don't have it in front of me and I don't have it memorized. But people believe that they can't believe that it would lose all value. They think that it has to come back and retain some value. And when they set up the monetary system where now we're looking at, strong dollar. Well, strong dollar against the euro or the yen or another currency, another fiat money. But weak dollar in that it buys you less and less and less over time. So why do we accept it? Because most people don't know any better. And that's really the point of my work. Because if we can get 3% of the population to know what I show you here and know this lie, well, when they transition us into the next financial system, then maybe we'll have a say. And maybe, just maybe, the money might hold its value more so that you're fairly paid for your labor and you're able to save for your future. Maybe. I hope so. That's what I'm working for. Excuse me. Okay, and Jay Adams asks, if the dollar tanks with respect to other currencies, will my cost for gold decrease temporarily, or will it just inflate in all currencies? Well, actually, in almost every other currency that I look at, gold is at new highs, new all-time highs. It is in the US dollar where we're not yet seeing those new highs. So if the dollar tanks in respect to other currencies, your gold is not going to decrease temporarily because gold is the universal money. That's why it's so critically important that you hold it. Dollars really only have value in the US. I remember in the 90s going to France and going into, the little community, what are they called? I'm losing it right now. But, where everybody meets and they sell stuff. So swap meets, or it's not really called a swap meet, but something like that. And boy, if you paid in dollars, they gave you a discount. They wanted dollars instead of francs because the dollar was stronger as compared to the franc. Today, no, they don't even want them in Mexico, our neighbors. So, but gold, I could take gold anywhere in the world and instantly have that same level of purchasing power or more. So, yeah, no, it won't. It's already inflated, and it's more reflective in other currencies. And I could do something on that. Jacqueline, would you write that down? And I'll just put a little PowerPoint together of gold in a bunch of different currencies so that you can see that it's making new highs. I've done that in the past, but it's a while, and this is probably a good time to do it again. Ian Wilson asked, do we expect a drop in gold and silver by the coming month end? Well, anything can happen, but Ian, I would say no, because we are in the process of a breakout. It doesn't mean that we can't get a little pullback, but the more likely next occurrence is going to be that it's going to go higher. And M88 is taking a loan to buy gold and silver still a no-no. Yes, it is a no-no. You've got to do what you're comfortable with, but I would not take out debt because even though I know it's going higher, I don't know when. And I do know some people that made that choice, even though I tried to talk them out of it. And if you need that money, that fiat, before you're ready to liquidate your gold, you could have a little bit of a problem. So you've got to do what you're comfortable with, but that is not the choice that I would make. I will say that. And Marilyn D asked, what is MBS? MBS stands for mortgage-backed security. So it is a contract that's made up of a bunch of mortgage contracts. And the Federal Reserve is buying those mortgage-backed securities so that banks have more money to lend for mortgages. And Pax Vobiscum asks, sorry, I'm a little parched. If confiscation takes place, I do know how to melt down gold and turn it into jewelry. Will that work? It could. Yeah, absolutely, it could. Because certainly there is a greater markup in jewelry, so it would be in more toward the classical collection. So, will that work? I can't guarantee it, but you would have a shot. It's not the choice that I've made because I just think it's easier, especially with the premiums on the collectibles being so low, that, that's where my level of comfort is, and that's why I've made that choice. So last week, I was on with Mario and Echo on Manico 64, and because this is pre-recorded, I'm sorry, I don't really know how it went, but since I've talked to him before, I'm certain it was awesome, and I would encourage you to watch it. Now, this coming week, I've got 2 new places that I'm going to be on, and so I'm very excited about that, really. Being interviewed by Terry Saccone for the Atlantis Report, and also on As Good as Gold in Australia. So I love going all around the world. I mean, I wish I could do it in person. But make sure you visit our blog at itmtrading.com/blog. And of course, this is going to be posted on Brighteon as well as Facebook. So seriously, if you are concerned about the economy and you have any questions about anything we've talked about today or anything else, I have a really bright team of people that are ready to be of service. Now, they're executing the same strategy for you that I'm executing for myself that's based upon those repeatable patterns. And at this juncture, you're using gold and silver to accomplish sustaining your standard of living as well as expanding your income on the other side of this mess. don't wait. Don't wait. You know, I don't know how nasty it's going to be, but I can tell you this. Technically speaking, gold has broken out. It is not getting cheaper. And you have silver that's now up like a couple bucks in a very short period of time. It's well over 18 bucks, headed toward 19 bucks an ounce. It's still, in both cases, severely undervalued. What are you waiting for? Seriously, what are you waiting for? So understand that we are here to help, and it is absolutely positively time to cover your assets. And what will cover them is your financial shield that is made up of physical gold and physical silver. So if you like this, please subscribe, hit that bell. We'll let you know when we're going live. And please give us a thumbs up. And if we can be of service, don't forget to give us a call at 888-696-4653. And until next we meet, please, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.
Now, what's most ironic is what Miss Lynette is talking about is happening as we speak. I'm gonna try something here. Maybe it'll work. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I want to show you something, and I'm gonna try to see if I can cue this thing up the right way where I can do this. Maybe it'll work. Let's see. I'm gonna try to see if it'll work here. Right. Check this out. This is what they call the debt clock. You should be able to see the debt clock. Alright. Now as you're looking at this debt clock, I want you to pay attention, because if you pay attention, you just might learn something. Show you the debt clock. I really want to show this to you. Okay. Alright. Now, as you're looking at this debt clock, you'll see right here where it says United States national debt, 26 trillion. I'm going to put state debt clock, and I'm going to go to Florida, because that's where I'm at, just to prove a point. Now you're looking at that debt clock, so I'm going to try this again and move you along. See if you can see this one. Okay, you can. Okay, good. Alright, so you're seeing that debt clock. Alright, now when you look at the state of Florida, look at the in-state revenue. The in-state revenue, the green is what they're taking in. They're taking $179 billion, yet they're spending $202 billion. The way the present economic system is set up, if you are doing proper accounting, it's structured for you to spend more than what you take in. I show this to you for two reasons. If you're not spending more than what you're taking in the present system, your concepts of accounting is wrong. Which now brings us to the last part of this particular training. We're going to talk about where the civil law notaries come in, because we're going to talk about negotiable instruments, because it's through negotiable instruments that you're able to spend more than what you're revenuing. All right, so let's go here. Let's see if I can. So far, so good. It's doing okay. So let's see if I can do this again and actually get this with the notaries. There you go. Now we're with the manual. I hope you guys can see the manual. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to probably have to make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to make it a little bit bigger. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to probably make the manual. I didn't want to do that. I need to make it. Bigger. So let's hit the zoom in. There we go. Let's make it bigger. There we go. Let's make it bigger. Okay. Now, everybody should be able to see what I'm talking about. So we're going to back up to, all right, negotiable instruments. Here we go. Negotiable instruments, the essential requisite, the requisites. What is a requisite? Well, a requisite is, let's see. For those who don't know what a requisite is actually, it's an adjective. It means made necessary by particular circumstances or regulations. So in other words, under the Financial Accounting Standards Board, in accordance with the Financial Accounting Standards Board, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, now a lot of folks are like, okay, now you can see it. Okay, there you go. A lot of folks say, well, Bazell, I couldn't see it. Now you can see it. Okay, in accordance with, we're going to talk about negotiable instruments, the essential requisites. Okay, the essential requisites are going to be what is essential. We're dealing with negotiable instruments. You want to know how to actually spend more than what you're taking in. Banks utilize negotiable instruments to do that, and this is what you got to typically do because it kind of falls into the rules of credit and debits. So, what is a requisite? A requisite is basically it's an adjective that means made necessary by particular circumstances or regulations. What regulations? Well, the regulations that are governed under the Financial Accounting Standard Board, or what we call FASB. FASB is the Financial Accounting Standard Board. So, negotiable instruments are being used in banking in order for them to demonstrate revenue and spending under the rules of credit and debits. Why is this important? Because the civil law notaries that you're utilizing to become CECL compliant must understand these essential requisites. So I'm going to break some of these things down to you. Okay, the essential requisites, here's the definition. Under subsection 350, definitions of negotiable instrument. An instrument is said to be negotiable when the legal title to the instrument itself and to the whole amount of the money expressed upon its face may be transferred from one person to another by endorsement or delivery by the holder or by delivery only. See, the instrument is to be negotiable, must conform to the following requirements. Number one, it must be in writing and signed by the maker or the drawer. Number two, it must contain an unconditional promise or order to pay in a sum certain in money. And number three, it must be payable on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time. Number four, it must be payable to the order or to the bearer. And number five, where the instrument is addressed to the drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with the reasonable certainty. That's very important because, see, when a client brings forth a negotiable instrument, you need to understand the essential requisites, the necessary provisions that make it sustainable, negotiable. And I'm giving you the five important aspects of dealing with negotiable instruments. Now let's talk about a specific type of negotiable instrument, because they also use in banking what they call promissory notes. Well, under subsection 351, a promissory note is a negotiable promissory note, is an unconditional promise in writing made by one person to another, and it's signed by the maker engaging to pay on demand or at the fixed or determinable future time, a sum certain in money or to the order or to the bearer. Where a note is drawn to the maker on its own order, it is not complete until it is endorsed by him. See, the person who signs such an unconditional written promise is called the maker, and the person to whom the order is payable is the payee. If the payee transfers it to a third person by endorsement, the payee is the endorser and the third person is the endorsee. And this gives you an example of what the basic format, the ordinary form of a promissory note. And you want to look at this to kind of understand, okay, it's got to have, it's got to bear these parts here. Okay, so now let's talk about, you're here in the secured party creditor process, which is nothing wrong with that. You hear terms like holder in due course. What is the holder? Well, the holder is the payee or endorsee of a bill or note who is in possession of it, or the bearer thereof. See, the holder in due course is a holder who has taken the instrument under the following conditions. Number one, that it is complete and regular upon its face. Number two, that he became the holder of it before it was overdue and without notice that it has been previously dishonored. If such was the fact, in other words, it's got to be in good standings when he actually recorded it. Number three, that he took it in good faith for value. And number four, that at the time it was negotiated to him, he had no notice of any infirmity in the instrument or defect in the title of the person negotiating it. Now, this again constitutes the holder in due course. So when you tender an instrument, who you tender it to becomes the holder in due course until these things arises. You don't understand how many individuals out here talk about this administrative process. They're trying to do notary presentments, and then they get into this aspect where they didn't want to honor the instrument. And it's like, well, did you follow the procedures, and did you use a civil law notary? If they answer, I did it. All right, what is the procedure? What did you utilize? How did you tender it? And you get into it's accounting. The long and short of what I'm explaining is the administrative process is really an accounting procedure. That's why it works best with using civil law notaries who understand the rules of credit and debits, because you won't get into, in my opinion, a who shot John match. A lot of individuals I've watched and I heard a lot of things about, those that are tendering instruments. It's like, look, I know institutions that tender instruments all the time. Matter of fact, I'm just going to kind of, and I normally don't do this, but I kind of want to, they say put up or shut up. Show me the proof that this stuff works. Now, without me going into our proprietary information, I'm going to show you such truth. Because they said truth is not up for debate. So I'm not here to debate anyone on whether the secure party process works or this, that, and that. I'm going to give you the proof that in our organization it does work, because I'm going to show you what we've actually done through the court system utilizing the secured party creditor process. But you got to do accounting, and you got to use what they called competent trustees. And you also got to use what they call civil law notaries that really understand what's going on. Now, I'm not going to go into everybody's cases. I'm just going to show you, as of right now, what has been actually, placed in, under management that's been assigned. So again, this right here is our profile, and it's under Bezel Bay and Associates. So that I will give you that information so you understand. Bezel Bay and Associates is a firm that actually works with an arbitration committee. So we do have debt collection and so forth. It's like once we get the administrative judgments in place, once we get certain things in play, we're able to literally bring it to a level of validity and liquidity, because it's accounting. Now, let's see if I can, maybe it'll let me share it. Let's see, because I don't want to go into proprietary information, so I already got my screen up. Nobody want no password and all that. So let's see if I can, do this. Bear with me. We're gonna try it. Let's see if it's gonna let me show what I'm trying to show. Let's see. Is it gonna let me do it? This is the. Okay, here we go. All right. Now, okay, you should be able to see it, but I need to kind of maybe make it bigger. Okay, you guys can see this. Okay, good. You can see my screen. All right. Now, this right here is what we've actually been able to utilize with the secure party creditor process as of right now. And these cases are already been put into profit recovery. This is the amount of what we've assigned, and this is what's been resolved. So I don't want to hear, I follow Yusuf L. Yusuf L is one of my mentors who I've been watching from afar from a long time. Brother is spot on. So when I hear a lot of these folks talk about this doesn't work or this, that, and that, I just kind of like, that's because they don't understand accounting. And most of these individuals are doing things, they're flying by the seat of their pants, and they're not utilizing accounting. I want you to think about accounting as, all right, banking, all right, the banking industry. Think about accounting. Accounting is like a genre, accounting is like hip hop in the music industry. It's a culture. So there's a culture that goes with accounting, just like there's a culture that goes with the hip hop culture as far as the music industry. So you technically have to get into the lifeblood of whatever craft you're dealing with to really see what pieces work and what pieces don't. And it's very obvious when you are working with a competent group. Now, again, truth is not up for debate, and we've already, been perfecting these cases with a competent group of notaries. I do use certified notaries that operate as a civil law notary capacity. You want more information on becoming part of the team and being able to bring these things to a certain proponent. You get with the individual that referred you to this particular documentary, if we're going to call it that, a training session so you kind of understand. Now, again, let me get out of this page here. So, there we go. So we're all on the same sheet of music. They say truth is not up for debate. Truth is truth. So, literally, with that being said, everybody has to come to the realization of what they're dealing with. And you got to deal with accounting. Hopefully, what I've said and what we've shown you up until this point should stir you up to stay engaged. If you listen long enough, you definitely will learn something. Go back to the other videos, gather some more information. You guys got the contact, the comment section, I think, on YouTube. I really don't like doing a lot of stuff publicly, but I've been encouraged that in order for me to get the word out to those that are looking for a certain sort of remedy, especially with dealing with the income taxes and things that sort, that I kind of need to be more accessible. So I'm using that in that proponent. But look, leave your comments in the comment section. And when you leave the comments in the comment section, someone from our staff will reach out to you and we'll see what we can actually put together. Man, it's been great. I appreciate your time and energy. Like I say, keep listening, because if you listen long enough, you just might learn something. Peace and love, family. Peace and love.